he grabs, and I was driving, he grabs the back of the headrest and he starts shaking my whole chair, and he just starts like terribly like screaming along, bro, and I'm like trying to focus, and I'm like shaking around a little bit, and the car started swerving. So yeah, first time I heard Oceano, he almost died. So what's up, cool kids of the internet? Mark with Kardavox Academy here, and today I'm very excited, as I always am, because we are checking out the new Oceano, mass-produced. I'm pretty excited because we also will be bringing in momentarily Adam Warren, the vocalist himself, who is a favorite of mine, and we're going to be talking about why here in a second. But if you're new to the channel, my name is Mark. I am a metal vocalist myself. I'm in a band called Kardashev. We released an album through Metal Blade Records back in June. You should check it out. Maybe you'll hate it. I don't know, but you know, do whatever you want. And I'm also a vocal coach. I specialize in teaching people how to make all of the gurgly, gritty, nasty sounds that we know and love, and how to do it safely and for many years to come. So if you enjoy the video at any point, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot to me. And check us out on Patreon if you want. Everything on Patreon happens on our Discord server. We've got people all around the big spherical round globe that we live on. And it's a great time. It's a lot of fun. That's all I have to say. So let's go ahead and let's pull in Adam. Adam, what's up, man? How you doing?
What up? I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing good. Like I was telling you before the video, I'm a little bit fried because I had...
Me too.
Dude, I had like back-to-back lessons today. All the reschedules happened today. So it was like I saw this and then the video we were doing together, and I was just like, ooh. So before this, I was literally like jumping up and down in the living room, and I was like, okay, wake up, buddy. You can do it. But I appreciate you being here because I know it's the end of the day. And I'm excited.
No problem.
I'm pumped to do it. Now, I want to tell you, before we get started, I want to tell you a funny story because I think you'll enjoy it. About the first time that I actually heard Oceano, because there's a story to it. So, if you're interested, you want to hear it?
Yeah.
It involves a near car crash.
Oh, maybe I don't.
It's not that bad. But basically, so I was it was my first year at NAU, the big university here up in Flagstaff. And I had just gotten into like the heavier side of metal like a year before. Like I heard Doom EP by Job for a Cowboy and Count Your Blessings by Bring Me the Horizon. And that's like where it started for me, right? And then it went from there. And my buddy, who's now the guitarist in Kardashev, he was like, dude, you got to check out this new band called Oceano. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm being honest, I was like, Oceano, that like, what is that? You know, like ocean, that's an interesting name. And he's like, yeah, put it on. We're in the car. So he puts it in the CD player because cars still had those. And right when District of Misery starts, because I feel like that's probably a lot of people's first song, but right when it was like, he grabs, and I was driving, he grabs the back of the headrest and he starts shaking my whole chair, and he just starts like terribly like screaming along, bro, and I'm like trying to focus, and I'm like shaking around a little bit, and the car started swerving. So yeah, first time I heard Oceano, we almost died. So that's the story.
Oh, okay. Thank goodness. I thought you were building to like the crescendo of a car crash. That's why I was just like, it's coming, dude. If there's ever a car crash, it's in those moments where someone's not paying attention. You're, like in your fear for death when your friend's just like, yeah, I love this.
No, almost. I mean, really, really,
I'm glad.
Not that almost, but it was fun. It was, and I think about that sometimes too. So when I recently got on TikTok and I saw you on there, and then I started catching up because I'm sure I'm behind on everything, and I was like, oh shit, new Oceano coming out. I was hoping we get to do one of these, so I'm pretty pumped. Not sure what to expect, but that's where I'm going to ask you.
Good.
Should I have some context? Because, I've told you I've seen little clips because my students have talked about it. But should I have some? Yeah, they have. Yeah, people have been like, oh, you got to check out this new track. How's
Shout out to the students.
Yeah, Oh, by the way, I actually have a message to you from my last student. Because I told him I was doing this. Yeah, no. His name is Nick. He lives in Australia. And I said I was doing this video. And he said, oh, tell him hello and that he's pretty. So... from Nick, hello, and you're pretty.
I'll take that, thanks.
So yeah, there you go. But should I go into this 100, well, I guess as blind as I can, having seen little clips, or do you want to give me some context, like what it's about, some things that you tried to do in this song differently from the past, things like that? What are you feeling?
Yeah, I could give you a little bit of context, just off the dome. I think one of the coolest marvels of even this video is existing is the ferocity at which the band had to function, and realistically, myself, Scott, and our management, to get the band to a point of like, I was thinking about it today. It's only been like 4 months, 5 months since we were like, yeah, we're coming back full time. And like, here we are. So
Jeez.
I think above anything, the video is just a really cool, reflective thing to see. Just the band like means, I hope we can swear, the band means fucking business, and we've kept coming back because we never really left. We just take breaks and we try and hone our craft, sharpen our teeth. And I think one of the biggest things that I could be proud of for this new music is that I know for a fact that I have improved as a vocalist because I've never been more cognizant of what I'm doing with my voice.
That is amazing because it makes me really feel like we're going to have a lot of cool stuff to talk about. And I already have like a list of things. I already have a list of things I want to talk about. But, I think you're right. Like the video, I mean, just looking at the view count and like the monthly listeners on Spotify and things like that, like I think people were very ready for y'all to come back full time. I think it's showing that.
I'm glad.
Yeah, quite clearly. Well, cool. I'm going to be listening to that. I'm going to be listening to different things you've done and how your voice has changed over time. And it's going to be a party. So I think with that, let's go ahead and let's check out Oceano, mass produced. Here we go. Okay, we're gonna pause there. We're gonna pause there. Yeah, I got to pause during the songs. Also, that small little section is a spot I'm familiar with. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be a good spot. So already
good
a
pause
couple
on the video too.
Yeah, the face. I love. Actually, that might be good for the thumbnail, bro.
Oh man, and I can just look up that.
Yeah, exactly. So already a couple things I'm noticing. So first and foremost, one of the things that, at the time I wasn't as knowledgeable about vocals as I am now. So I didn't have the same context about it. But one thing I've always thought that you were really fucking good at. See, now I'm cursing too. It's all right. One thing that I always thought you were really good at is just like snapping to different resonant places, right? I think the lyrics were "You are not awake," and when you hit that wake and it was high, it was seamless, which can be pretty tough actually. A lot of times people will be screaming, in their chest and lift up to their head, and it can be quite tough. So that's something that you do quite smoothly. Is that something that was like a goal for you when you started doing vocals, or did it just kind of come naturally and you do it because it's easy? Talk to me about kind of the development of being able to move like that.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. It's like I told you guys before, like I don't really talk to many like really proficient vocalists like this, so I'm glad that you noticed that, because that's like when you said that, I was like, that's one of my favorite things to do, because I didn't really like I was talking about becoming more aware of like actually what I'm doing, and the technique I'm using. I didn't really do that much outside of live, and I was less in control of my voice and stuff for I think many years, and then I started to realize like, oh, you can like just do that on a snap. That's kind of cool, and I didn't really discover it to be a thing I started using more until I started recording stuff on Twitch and stuff, and I started hearing it, in the headset and be like, oh shit, that sounds tight when you play it back. And I was like, all right, I got to throw that in as a part of my, my arsenal, so to speak.
Sure. Yeah, and it's cool that you're displaying it so early, because I think it's one of your strengths for sure. And then the second, technically third, I know it's three, but the second thing I wanted to talk about is just kind of like a stylistic choice. I feel like these days in all sorts of metal, but especially deathcore and all of its adjacent genres. I'm not sure. I'm fucking shit with genres, dude. I can't even decide what my band's genre is. So who knows? But like in the realm of genre with which Oceano sits, I feel like I don't hear as much of the like, and then what's wrong? Like that sort of thing. I feel like that's a lot less common. So you throwing it in there is a little bit of a throwback, and I just kind of liked it. I really don't have a lot to say past that, but I just kind of dug it. I was like, oh man, like that kind of brings me back a little bit. Yeah. Did like. And this is always a question I have, but was that like a conscious decision as like, hey, I'm gonna bring back some of that, or were you just like, this sounds cool here, I'm gonna throw it in? Either way is awesome.
Yeah, it's very conscious. I've known when the band first started doing stuff, the first album came out. I remembered I didn't have the scope of how we do now with social media, but at the time I remember seeing some kids point out that they like that that little whatever it is, that scoop, and so I always figured I'll just every now and again I'll throw it in there. It's kind of like a OG kind of a nod to the OGs kind of thing. So I'm always like aware of when I do it, because I feel it's like a nice little sprinkle of sugar, if you just throw it in there, and it's not really expected, and I like that it showcases a little bit of my natural voice outside of my, let's just call it like metal voice.
Right. Yeah. Because what some people who are maybe they're just finding Oceano with this single, but what some people may not know is that you can sing too. Like you got a voice on you as well. I remember I remember a couple years ago. It was, I don't remember the year, but it was you. I haven't seen the video in a while, but it was you and a buddy of yours, I guess, and he was playing acoustic and you were just singing along. And I remember everybody being like, oh shit, like, okay, like he can actually like, he can croon along with the best of them as well. So yeah, it's cool. I wonder if there's, now you don't have to answer this because I know this is, but I'm just wondering aloud, like if there's going to be any cleans in Oceano. Maybe not. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, I can tell you there won't be.
There won't be?
There's one song I did. If people watched me do it on Twitch, they saw it's like there's one part that I did, but it's super tucked. It's just like, to add to the ambience. It's not like there's no like full on, Seven Dust freaking, like type. There's none of that like lead singing things. But I don't know. You might be interested in this. Though the way I did write a lot of the parts, as you'll probably notice it for sure. A lot the way that I did write certain parts was through kind of coming up with the melody first and then almost like reverse engineering it into screaming.
I've never done that. That is a really interesting way of going about it. I've literally never done it that way. If I'm coming up with a melody, it's because I'm going to sing it. If I'm just at my computer being like ba ba da ba da ba, it's because I'm going to scream it. So that's funky. That's cool. Yeah, I'll listen for that. I've got 5 other things I could say, but we should probably actually listen to the song.
Here we're 39 seconds in.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But anything else you want to add before we give this song another go?
Oh no, Phil, let's rip it.
All right, here we go. Let's go back a little bit because there was that transition there that I want people to be able to enjoy. So let's go. Man, every time I pause, to me, it looks like you're doing the old Social Distortion or social. What's the name of that band? Oh, people are gonna get mad at me for that. But listen,
Social Distortion.
Yeah, see, how they had the kid doing that. I don't know.
There's a name for it, I think, but I'm not too in that scene.
Me neither.
But I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm gonna push play before we dig ourselves in even deeper hole than I've put us in.
We'll just research.
Yeah, we'll just see. We'll educate ourselves. There we go. Yeah. All right, here we go. Yeah. Oh. See, that's a good example of kind of what I was referring to earlier. So, I love how you're rocking that mid roaring tone, like that really awesome, like strong mid, which I think that strong mids are something that sometimes gets neglected these days. So whenever I hear somebody just like in the pocket with a mid, I'm like, yeah, good stuff. And then
I like strong mids.
Yeah, strong. It's so foundational, and it allows, and this is exactly what you did here. It allows that when you punch in with something else, there's a little bit more contrast, and it's I don't know, it just creates a more seasoned dish, in my opinion. So that was cool how you kind of came in with like a lifted mid after that, like cool little like bass section, and the highs layered back. That was super neat. So good job there.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I have some questions about like the actual production of your scream. So, one thing that I've always liked about your scream that I've mentioned to people is like, to me, if I could liken it to anything, it's almost like shredding paper. It's like like the distortion. You've never heard that? Oh, dude, especially your highs. Your highs like literally sound like somebody like like rips paper, right? And yet at the same time, you know, I've seen you obviously, you know, in a video where like, you know, performing and like doing all this stuff. I've been there, I get it. But like, I've also seen you in like, you know, some TikToks, and you're a lot more relaxed, right? So one of the things I want to ask you is, first and foremost, like, how did you find this sound when you first started? And you're right, it does sound a little bit more developed than, even though you sounded awesome back in the early days, it sounds a little bit more developed now. But how did you like stumble upon this sound? Because we started before there was a lot of instruction around it, so we kind of had to play around. But yeah, talk to me about that.
Yeah, the only thing that was around, because she's the OG, is Melissa Cross was around when I got into it. It was like that Zena Screaming DVD and all that just came out.
Yeah.
So I just, to an extent, used bands that I was into as a reference point. Mostly the same thing where I tried to not so much mimic their sound, but I tried to at first just reverse engineer what they were doing. And the way, but the I guess just the thing was, I was already, which you might like this as well for some info background.
Okay.
Before I was doing metal, I was like a very imaginative kid, so I was playing with like action figures from like the time I was old enough to, you know, the moment I could understand that, all the way to like freshman year of high school. I was still doing that. So I was doing a lot of like what I guess voice acting, you know, all this time. And just, I was already trying to just discover my voice to make different noises, different voices for different characters, different raptor noises, all that shit. That's where I kind of came from, actually. And so when I started listening to metal, I kind of sat there and I was like, how are they doing that? What type of technique, you know, like what are they doing? And if not, how do I do it my way to get the same kind of result, but my way? And so that's basically what I did, was I like developed my own way of doing it based on what I was hearing, and just kind of referencing like Randy from Lamb of God, Brandon from Bleeding Through, like, you know, all the OG metalcore bands and new metal bands. Obviously Corey was the first one I tried to like mimic. I was like, this is not going to work.
Yeah. That's cool, man. You know, that's such a commonality, bro. Like, so many of the vocalists who I've had on the channel who have like really, really unique tones, like Dickie Allen and like others as well. They tell me that same thing. They're like, I just made silly voices since I was a little kid, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a commonality I'm starting to see. One of my favorite vocalists is the vocalist for Aegean, Jim Martin.
Yeah, he's tight.
Yeah. And he hung out with us for a little while. He's not been on the channel, but we hung out for him, and he told me that his whole low was a dinosaur voice. He would be in elementary school. He was in elementary school, and people would be like,
I think.
Yeah, people would be like, do the dinosaur voice, and he'd be like, okay. And then he got into metal, and I'm probably misrepresenting the story slightly, but people were like, hey, you should be a vocalist. And he's like, I don't know how to do vocals. I guess I could just do this dinosaur noise. And everybody was like, yep, that's what you're gonna do. So that's kind of crazy. Now, when you're doing these screams now, one thing I'm always interested in is the way that they feel, right? Because one thing that I have learned through coaching and through teaching is that it is really true that everybody kind of relates to their bodies in different ways, right? So I'm always interested in hearing from the vocalist how it feels. And let's talk mostly about the mid for now. Well, if we hear, other things, we'll talk about that. But when you're doing a mid and when it's like, choice, like it's a day where everything is especially, because there are even I and everybody, others, they'll have, we work to be consistent and we work to have healthy voices all the time. But there are some days where you're just like, damn, like that is crispy. What does it feel like when you're like really, really rocking it? It's a hard question.
It feels like one of the most empowering things in the world to nail exactly what my mind is thinking about, and how do you hear something by thinking it without actually hearing it? Like it's a weird just sensory like response to just put that out there, and then when you hear it the exact way you wanted it to come out, and it's like you said, just fucking crispy, it feels like the greatest thing ever. I feel like it's the purest semblance of like mind and body, like my mind being able to control the vessel exactly and accurately to do that, and that is very powerful because there's all these people watching, or there's all these people listening to it, and it's like, so where everyone is getting what they want in that moment when it's just like you hit that note and that's what it feels like.
I know what you mean, and that kind of like describes as well. Like I remember, when I started getting into this, people would ask me like, "Why do you want to do that? Like, why would anybody want to scream?" And I think like this may be a little bit over dramatic, but to me, it always feels like really like primal and kind of like honest and stuff. Because like if you think about it, go back far enough in time, and like pre language, we were just shaking sticks and screaming and grunting, So it's kind of like a very like rich experience to do that. So yeah, it's interesting. Now, well, I'm going to ask you some more mechanical questions, but maybe we'll jump into the song first before we do that. I'm trying to make sure I hit everything I wanted to ask. I think that's it. All right, yeah. Let's keep going, and then I don't know. I'll probably have a million more questions for you because that's how we do things. All right,
I got one challenge for you.
If you can, okay.
I don't have anything to give you per se. Well, maybe we'll get you into the next show either way, but maybe we'll do 2 shows. How about that?
All right, that's a deal. That's a deal.
It's a kind of like it's not really a riddle. It'll be done in a riddle if you can figure it out. It's based on the video. There's an animal not present in the room. If you can figure out what that cue means, let's see. I don't think anyone in the comments has pointed it out yet, or no one has pointed it out yet. So I was see if you notice.
My clue is that there's an animal not present in the room.
Yeah, that's like the riddle.
You're throwing me for a loop, bro. Okay, all right. Now but see, I'll try. I'm gonna take that challenge, but I'm like listening to this as like a vocalist / voice teacher. Now I gotta think of it like fucking like Bilbo Baggins style. What's it got in its pockets is. But here we go. Let's do it. Challenge accepted. Here we go. Oh. Oh shit! I paused the right time. Okay, I'm gonna let it finish. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. But no, okay. Well, I want to listen to that section anyway, so we're gonna talk about it. But I just want to throw you some compositional props here because like there are a couple things you're doing that I really like that I listen for in vocalists. Like I totally understand. I get I get that in some versions of metal, the purpose of the genre and the purpose of the song is to really like exhibit the vocalist. I understand that, right? But sometimes I get a little bit fatigued when the song never has a chance to breathe. And I like how you're like, whenever there's a new riff, you're not necessarily going to start screaming at that same point. So in this section coming up, the guitars start going like, you let that happen, then there's a regeneration, and then you come in. And that kind of lets me as a listener enjoy the riff, and then you add to it to make it better. So I'm like, oh, it sort of elevates the experience. And then that ambience, not the right word, but that section where we get a little bit more ambience in the background, we get those like sort of like almost major key like leads in the back, and you're not coming down, you're doing like those little rests before you come in. Super sick. So like, love that. I think that might be my favorite section of the song, because you're really getting dynamic with your with the way that you're interacting with the song. But that section, I don't know, I just kind of want to know about your writing process now, because you told me about the melodies and that was weird, and I'm gonna try that now. So like, you talk to me about your writing process, like when you're sitting down, when you're hearing this, is it already written? Are you hearing it after the fact? Catch me up on the deets, man.
Yeah. So for this song and all the songs, that's a little Easter egg that we have recorded. We did a like a really like kind of like, you know, like COVID era writing process, so to speak, and like in putting it all together. And but it kind of was like we had a break, and then I just kind of poked Scott, and he was like, I got some songs, check them out, you know. And I checked them out, and then all of a sudden I started doing some counting. I was like, we got an album here. And then on my end, I just did every song on the spot, so I didn't do any like prep. Every song I wrote on Twitch, and then I also wrote it on the spot on Twitch, like every single one. So this one included, which this one came out really good for being on the spot.
That is mind-boggling to me. That's mind-boggling to me, because like, well, I'm gonna throw myself on the chopping block a little bit. I'm a little slow on the lyric writing process, and that sometimes has caused some frustration with bandmates, which is warranted and fair. When they're like, hey, so 2 Fridays ago, and I'm just like, right. But like the fact that you can write with people like watching you, that's crazy to me. Cause like, if I'm going to write vocal sections, like I have to be like in the dark in my room, sequestered, maybe even like a little bit like sad and moody, if I'm going to write anything worthwhile. So the fact that you can play to like a chat log and write is very cool. And yeah, this came out great. Is it easier for you to write that way, or does it kind of bring its own challenges? Because like you can tell that my brain is like short circuiting right now.
I think it elongates the process. So like I think average was like 4 or 5 hours to like get it to a point where I'm like, all right, I'm done. And any little tiny things, you know, of course they'll be added, but so that means I probably would do that exact same song in 2 hours ideally, if I wasn't engaging and taking breaks and stuff to check it out, talk to people. So I just did it because and it became something really rad that I now do for everything. But I just did it because I wasn't performing, and I realized that I needed something to keep that edge, or else I would be worse off, you know, later when I do get on stage. So I figured, if everyone's working from home, this is my way to work from home, put myself in a live element and perform. And that's, and it, I think just like, you know, they do say, you know, when you put the fire under certain people, you know, they really do perform. And so that's what seemed to come out of it. And I just kept going with it, because we were getting the album done, you know? So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Sure. Dude, that's wild to me when you're like, yeah, it's, you know, it makes it longer, like 4 or 5 hours. I'm just sitting here and I'm like, man, I would say one song takes me like 10 to 12. And I would love for that to be because I'm like, you know, really like honing my craft and caring about my art. But it's usually just because I'm getting distracted, or, you know, I'll just be like, you know, looking up some sort of like thing to make sure that like the symbol I want to allude to is correct. And then I'm like, I see a side ad for like a new Lemmings game, and I'm like, oh, Lemmings, I remember that.
Lemmings.
And then like 2 hours later, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? So
Dude, yeah, that's I mean, it's same thing.
Dude, it's so easy. I don't have the little side controllers on it, but it's so easy to be like in the zone, and then the next thing you know, you're holding like you're like, this is a Switch, doesn't have the like little side things, but you're holding this and you're like, God damn it, you know. So that's crazy. I want to listen to that section again so people can hear those like little rests you're putting in there, which is very cool. And then I want to ask you some more mechanical questions. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. But yeah, here we go. Very cool. So cool. All right, that's going to be a good spot. So we're going to go back and hear that. Okay.
Stop.
You know, I'll tell you. So YouTube has started doing this thing where you can see where most people are clicking, and that kind of like messes with the reaction game, because when I click this, I can see where everybody's going, so I kind of know like where the cool moment's going to happen. And
is this
so,
what
like,
that is? The gray is? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's where people like. So when people,
oh shit.
Yeah, so when people are opening your video, and I mean, like, listen, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. When people are opening your video, like, they're skipping here and replaying this section a lot. So I shouldn't say skipping ahead, but this section, people are like, oh, I got to hear that again. I got to hear that again. And then over here, they're like, oh, I got to hear that again. So that's what's going on there.
Oh, that's wild.
Now you know, right? And just watch. Somebody's going to be like, actually, in the comments.
Please do, so we get our heads right.
Exactly. So we know. So we know what's going on. So earlier, well, let me say this first. So I love those like little keys in the background. It sounded like some like really gentle like keys, bum bum, like that sort of movement. Kind of reminded me of like Exoplanet era Contortionist. Back when Jonathan Carpenter was in the band, and I was, let me tell you, Exoplanet, that was good stuff. So earlier we talked about what it feels like more like emotionally to do to create these vocal sounds, right? Now I'm curious what it feels like mechanically to create these vocal sounds. And a good example of this is like, for anybody watching, like, you know what I'm saying, but for anybody watching, like if I go like this, I can describe what it feels like. Okay. So it feels scratchy because my hands are always super dry. It feels warm because of friction, and it's on my forearm, right? So this is something I do with my students a lot to really kind of help them understand their voices. It's really simple. We just describe what the feeling is, what the sensation is, maybe is a better word, inside of our body. So, you know, my students might say, well, it feels really scratchy right here. And then I'm like, okay, well, we gotta fix that. Or they might say like, oftentimes when their scream is like really keying in and we're really making some progress, they're like, it's weird because it sounds really good, but I don't feel as much distortion as before. So when you're doing this, does it feel like scratch? And scratch is not necessarily bad. It's more about where it's placed. Does it feel like it's like scratchy? Does it feel bubbly? Does it feel smooth? How would you describe the sensation of the scream inside of your vocal tract?
It feels smooth. It almost feels like I'm clearing my throat.
Not what I was expecting you to say, actually. Not what I was expecting you to say at all. Whoa, that's kind of blowing my mind. Okay, and then does that throat clearing feeling, does it feel down in your larynx, or does it, and I know you might be like, I don't know, man, I don't think about this, or maybe you're like, oh no, I think about it all the time, but does it feel down around your larynx, or like behind your tongue, or like up on your soft palate? Like, where do you feel it?
It feels more like near my larynx, like around here, middle of here.
Interesting. Fascinating. That's funny. You know, so I've always, the feeling of clearing your throat. So generally we associate the sensation of clearing our throat with false chord vocals, which for anybody out there watching this who's new, I don't want you to just clear your throat really hard to learn how to do vocals. It can be really light throat clears, can be a good way to just help you understand what your false chords are. Again, this is to the viewers, but don't be like, oh, guess what? Kardavox Academy told me to go like, don't do that. And we usually associate that more with like false chord based vocals. And I always pegged you for a much more Fry influenced vocalist, especially on those high screams. But the sensation of having it more with a false chord is a little bit of a surprise to me. I won't lie. Now, of course, vocal distortion isn't like on this binary that we sometimes put it on. What do you do to like warm up into your screams? Like, you're not screaming yet, and you maybe have finished doing some melodies, but you're just telling your body it's time for distortion, right? What is that process like? What kind of stuff do you do?
Like while I'm recording already?
Like beforehand, beforehand. So I'll give you I'll give you an example. Like, so for my warm-ups, I do a lot of just clean singing warm-ups, nothing fancy. But then when I'm getting my body ready to create distortion, I usually do simple little throat clears, because I'm a very false chord and a arytenoidal kind of dude. I don't do really much Fry at all. But I'll do like little tiny throat clears. I'll do some throat singing. And then if I'm doing a high, I'll do some like type of stuff. And it's just really loose. So I'm just telling my body like, hey, we're going to be doing distortion now. So buckle up, buttercup. Do you do anything like that?
I was, for some of the warm-ups, I've done a ton of different things, and I like to just mix it up really. But usually lately I've been doing kind of like what you do. But like I usually just like, in my head, I just like kick my ass real quick. For some reason I really like just like, just really just going like, like doing like stuff like that, just really kicking my ass. The more so I feel like it's to get for me in my head, I feel it's more to get myself comfortable again with the feeling, because sometimes it does feel like vibraty, or like, or it feels like sometimes if my voice just kind of like shit out, for a second, it does kind of feel a little like a little like quirk, or but otherwise it's fine. So I try and just get myself ready for feeling that, because sometimes it's almost like it might just like, it's hard to explain. It feels like it'll itch, but it's not like it hurts. It's just like, it's just like a part of like, that's just like the transition. And I'm doing a lot of other shit too, so I shouldn't be, but I fucking like to get a little high with some weed from time to time, so surely those things add to how my throat is feeling, on the day to day. So obviously I just try and stay hydrated to counteract those small moments, we have the cotton mouth and the dry throat, but otherwise,
Yep. I had my crazy college days. I know.
I'm not in college anymore though.
That's true. I'll be real. The only reason I don't enjoy the jazz cabbage these days is just because of a heart condition, to be honest with you. It interacts with it very negatively, but I feel anyways. I don't know how much I'm allowed to go into that on my own channel. But,
I'm there with you. I had just a little more so a heart scare from just being a slob over the pandemic and on tour. But like, oddly for me, it's like, it kind of like does good for me. So it's weird. It's weird how these things work that they don't want us to fully know about. But I'm not saying that anyone should self-medicate themselves with anything other than what your doctor prescribes you. Anything else is on your hands.
We are.
I got you covered.
Yeah. We are neither condoning nor damning anything here, except for bad vocal technique, which we haven't heard any of that yet. So, all right, cool. I'm gonna go back a little bit so we can enjoy this clearly heavily replayed section. Oh, I already moved it back. So, I'm thinking about this animal in the room thing, man. It's tripping me up. So I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking, but I don't want any clue. Like, you got a poker face, right? You got a poker face right now. So I'm thinking a couple things. One, my inner 90s kid is coming out, and like, they're all like being possessed by stuff, and there are like cables, which makes me think like parasites, and makes me think of Animorphs with like yerks and stuff, like controlling people's brains. I don't know if you ever read those.
I know.
So I'm thinking like, oh yeah. I actually I own all the books still.
What?
Yeah, I have all of them. I have all of them, and I like slowly give them to my nieces, but they don't care about them, so I'm gonna ask for them back because they're just gonna rip them up. They're just gonna rip them up. So I'm thinking like some sort of like parasitic worm. So that's theory 1. Okay. Theory 2 is maybe I'm crazy, but this video's got some religious imagery. And so I'm like going back to like my church school days, and I'm thinking like, okay, like a snake maybe, or like a lamb. And then I'm like, nah, this video's not that ham-fisted. So I'm not really into those. So right now I'm going on like the parasite vibe. Don't tell me if I'm right or wrong, because I'm gonna give you a final guess at the end. But that's what I'm thinking.
I can give you another little clue. I might want to.
I'll take a clue. I'll take it.
You might be going a little too deep.
Damn it. Deep like a parasite in the body?
It's literal. What you're looking for is literal, but I spoke it in a more metaphorical sense. With it's more of a, I was trying to be like the Riddler or something, but you're looking for an actual something. But I can't say anymore because I can't tell you, if it's,
That just made it worse.
If it's neutral, negative, or positive. I can't tell you that because that'll start giving it away. But it is something that's... I can't tell you anymore because I gave you the riddle already.
Are you trying to secretly tell me that like you saw my dog run out of the house and like my dog is lost now?
No, I hope not. I'll say that it's a detail of the video, and so that's that. But that's my clue still, the one I gave you.
All right. I'll stop pressing you for answers. Let's go ahead and watch these people like go crazy and listen to this cool part. Here we go. That was fucking gnarly. So see, I was looking for the animal, and now I wasn't really. I was looking for the animal, and now I wasn't really paying attention to vocals. See what you've done? Yeah, so we're gonna have to listen to that again at some point. So I'm still thinking about the animal.
Place for us.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. There you go. So okay. I have a question that's not really vocal related, but is
cool, like
music video related. So having been in a couple of music videos, probably less than you, honestly, but a handful. I'm watching this and I'm imagining what it was like to film it. Was it weird to just like stand there and like either go along with the song or lip sync? I don't care. Some people are like, oh, don't lip sync in videos. I'm like, who gives a shit? Not me. But and all these people are just like sitting in these pews watching you. Like, were any of them trying not to laugh? Like, what was the experience like? Because like it looks awesome. Like the video looks great. Love the video. But thinking about like the actual process of filming it, I feel like if I was in the crowd, like I would be like, keep a straight face. Don't throw off his vibe. Keep cool. Like, what was it like to be screaming at a bunch of people in pews?
Oh, for like the first moment, it felt a little weird to go up and do it, but it literally was one of those like, I just kind of went there and then we did it, and it was just I was just thrown in. It was just like there's nothing else to do but to just fucking rip it, baby. And so I just had to, just as much as you kind of switch it on for stage, I had to do it for that, and
sure, it
was awkward for a minute, and then after that it was just kind of like I was just performing. It was just in a different way.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, well, that makes sense. Plus, like, I'm like, are these like all people that like y'all as a band know, or were like you just put like an ad out and they were just like, hey, I'll do this for like $20 and a Taco Bell gift certificate. I don't know. Like,
it was like an open mix call of like it was an open call. Some people that I knew showed up, and the mixture of some actual actors in it that got paid, and then some extras. It was a mixture.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Neat. So I'm gonna stop thinking about the riddle, and I want to listen to the end again so I can pay attention to it more vocally. And then we'll talk more vocal stuff. But okay, this looks like a good spot. All right, here we go. which yeah, I can see why people are replaying that section all the time. All right, cool. So yeah, so let's talk some vocal stuff. The thing I want to mostly talk about is like, whoops. The thing I want to mostly talk about is the shape of your mouth shapes, and what your tongue's doing as well. So one thing about your vocals is that they are very, very cavernous, and that is a huge draw. I think for people who like, and this is just me kind of guessing, but based on my own experience and what people have told me, I think for people who are like just getting into metal and the vocals still are a little weird, they're still like, oh, I don't know if I like this, because that's how it was for me. I was like, am I allowed to like this? I think it's the cavernousness, like the fact that somebody can make their body sound like a cave.
Yeah.
is one of the main things, and you do that like so crazy well with your mid. Well, let's start with let's go to the lows. Oh hell, I'm indecisive. With your voice, like what do you try to do with your mouth? Because for me, it's a lot of dropped jaw, tongue kind of curled and pulled back halfway in the mouth, kind of like this. Now I'm not gonna. Actually, I probably could. But tongue kind of curled and like back in the mouth. I don't know if you can see that right there. What sort of positions do you tend to use when you're trying to really get that deep, full, cavernous sound?
Oh, for like low stuff.
Yeah, we can go there. Yeah.
It's usually the goal is to get it as out of the way as possible.
The tongue out of the way as possible?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Because it's more from what I've started to become more aware of, it's a combination of throat, mouth, and nasal cavity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people that I don't give a fuck, because I know that like it's just a me thing, like a lot of people make fun of like how I do my faces and how my nose looks. That's because I use a lot of like my nasal cavity. I open everything and kind of like do it. It's just like a me thing. I don't know where it came from, but I realized I do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess what would that be, like a 3-point technique in my fucking head?
Yeah, I guess so. And that's, a lot of people, and, I kind of probably even neglect to talk about it enough as well, but a lot of people making sure that the nasal cavity is like open, versus, and you can hear it, right? You can hear, it adds a little bit of that depth and that resonance. Also, like who like metal people making fun of metal faces? Because
no, I probably not. It's probably like the people that just see the videos, because it's just the algorithm, they're just like, what the fuck is this? But yeah, it's a noticeable thing. But that me even reading those comments was me realizing how integral that was to the whole sauce of like, what I do. So it kind of made it cooler, because it's like, it's just it's a me thing. It's my voice, it's my body, contributing beyond just, the technique of the vocals itself, with my chords.
You heard it here, folks. Open your nose. You got to do it. Well, that's cool. When you say getting your tongue as out of the way as possible, what do you mean by that? Because it's a little different than the way that I do it. And one reason I like doing these videos and why we kind of started doing them is because there's obviously the way that I do vocals and there's the way that I teach them, but the Kardavox Academy way is not the only way. So my tongue, I'm focused on not getting it out of the way. So I'm interested to hear what you mean by that.
Yeah, like I think it gets in the way of the like what I believe is the airflow, the coming out. So it's not necessary for the sound, I guess. When I do it, it's only necessary for like the very minimal enunciation that I can pull off, because it's like I feel like I'm more tense, and tighter at times when I do it. So it's harder to move my tongue around and enunciate certain words with it being, understandable. So it's more like that.
So would you say it feels like kind of balled up and pulled, like, I don't know if you can see it, because like you're seeing me on Discord, so I'm like super blown out, and everything. But does it feel like it's more like, let me orient more towards my webcam. Does it feel like it's more like pulled out of the way and back, kind of like, or is there like kind of a curl to it?
Yeah, there's kind of a curl, but it's down. It's like down or up. It just depends. Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So the curl is super useful. The curl is one of the best tools for getting some of that, and you can hear it too. For again, for the viewers, because you play around with this all the time. But like you can hear that, like you can hear how it just adds to the resonant quality of it. Cool. Well, that's interesting. That's neat.
But it's like
else?
This way.
Oh,
Let me pull you back.
If
this is gonna look like sex ed class, but it's not the tongue. If you're doing a tongue, often it's not this way. It's like this.
So you're creating like a little, like a side, like a bowl.
It goes left. It's left, right of tongue, not front. It's more back, sides. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, the only time I ever do that is when I'm trying to do like all those tunnel throat sounds that are so popular these days. And it's like, getting more of like that. I'll do it, but even then I only do it on highs. That's really cool. Well, it works clearly, especially at the beginning. That like an initial when the hit comes in, that like really deep, like choice. So what you're doing is working, and it's working really well.
Thanks.
That you're welcome. That is the whole song there, and I think that is, man, that was a lot of fun. I'm trying to think if there's anything. Oh, you kind of answered it. I was going to ask if it was kind of difficult to get back into the like music recording vibe, but doing this live on Twitch, I would assume no. Seems like you kind of kept your chops up over the
that
breaks.
Helped. Yeah, it helped the most for stage, I think, especially just keeping engaged with the crowd. But it was more like there was more anxiety, just overall, just embarking on the feat and getting to the right when the point was like, all right, tomorrow's the day. That was more anxious because you want to make sure everything is perfect leading up to that. So it's almost just like everything at the start of it, like starting recording was more scary than the whole process of it, like just because of the weight of it all,
Sure. All right, here's and this will probably be my last question for you, but of course you're welcome to bring up anything you want to talk about. But another thing that a lot of people always ask about is prepping for a show, right? Because what we do, it gets easy, but it's athletic, it's acrobatic, it's you have to be in a right place. So what are some things that you do to make that your voice is ready to go, so that you can be fully confident that when you set foot on stage and you let out that first scream, that it's going to sound exactly the way that you want it
to? I went through a process, because I've been doing it for hella long. I went through a process of like being probably overly prepared to being like kind of preparing like very nonchalantly to like unconcerned almost, given the amount of like partying and distractions, to now I got it fucking together. So what I do now for like to prep for like stream or live usually is in this order.
Okay.
I like about 2 hours. I'm not like strict on it, but you will not see me eating an hour before I play ever. I will starve. So like usually about 2 hours between eating and set, but with the exception of tea with honey, and that's it. And well, I've been using throat coat lately. Not particularly because it's throat coat, just it seems like just I'd rather that than just drinking like any other tea.
Sure.
So I can kind of do that whenever, but I try not to drink it too close. I don't know if it's a real scientific thing or not, but I feel like I like my body to get to its just like resting temp, the whole everything, throat and everything. So tea not too close to set, and same with water. I used to not do water at all on stage, but now I do. But I will fucking scream if someone hands me cold water ever.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah, I know cold water.
Yeah.
It shocks me like hardcore. So I just bring my own water. It's just so from the moment I'm probably in my stage clothes, it's just water and not really much. until I like am on stage and like need it. But I have noticed that lately from recording, there is a big difference, you know, and you probably know a lot more than me on this, just like that difference between, you know, a wet throat and vocal cords versus like super like dry and like worn out. So I've started to notice those intricacies more. So I do need to drink on stage in between when I feel like it.
Yeah.
That's generally my process.
That's a good one. Like, I love the fact. Now, you know, one thing is that I'm a big proponent of like people kind of need to listen to their bodies, and you know what works for one person may not work for another. I mean, drinking a 6-pack an hour before the show is not going to work for anybody. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. But you know, there are some things where there's some variation, right? And it's very much the same for me. I mean, we haven't performed in a long time. We're probably never going to perform again, honestly. But
Why
I
not?
remember. Oh, that's a long conversation, my friend.
If we get you on the show, will you do it?
Like, sure. Like, yeah, I would do it then. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome, man.
Done. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Okay, I'll do it then. That would be awesome. Thank you. But I think I can relate to two things. Number one, not eating before, but for me, I didn't know it was acid reflux at the time. Now I do, but it's more for like acid reflux. And then number two, bringing your own water. That's like such a thing, because like ice cold, people are trying to be nice, but they'll give you that ice cold water and they drink it. And some people have told me they don't get this sensation, but I certainly do. Everything kind of just feels like it's fisted up, you know, it's just, you know what I mean? And you have to like warm up. Like I remember like a couple times I had to go like to like, and I don't know if that's like mostly mental, but like the temperature of water does make a difference. I mean, I don't know if like the was mostly mental. So that's a big one too. For me, I also couldn't eat really sugary stuff even longer before. So like if I had a bag of Skittles like 3 hours before, I was going to be so phlegmy and gross. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to know. Anything else you want to mention about the song? Great song. Really enjoy it. Thanks. I got nothing about the animal, man. I'm letting you down. I'm letting you down about the animal in the room.
Do you want me to spoil it? I can tell you.
See, when you told me, I'm thinking like I'm taking it too deep. No. That like almost pulled me into the abyss even farther.
We shouldn't tell them, and then everyone in the comments can see if they noticed it.
Okay. All right.
I'll even tell them. I'll even give more now. It's small, but very necessary for the things that both of us do. Not vocals, though. I'll say that. But we do probably use it very often, and it's not in that video. But it's very necessary, especially for right now.
I'm too stupid for this, man.
So now let's see if the comments know.
And what we should do, everybody in the comments guess. And what you should do is you should go follow Adam on all his socials. So if he mentions it, you know, because you're not going to find it here because the video will be done by the time you see it. It's already recorded, edited, and posted. So where can they find you to maybe find out about this animal?
I'm gonna take this opportunity of self-promotion to actually try and do something more gnarly. And if you know what it is, spam it on the actual video. The Oceano video. If you figure out what it is, spam it.
Do it. That's actually a really good idea. Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I would. I feel like I don't know. You know, we exist on the internet a lot. You know, I feel like the people of the internet are just collectively smarter, so they will figure it out in like the moment this video is posted.
They will. That's a good idea though. Spam it on the actual, not on the Kardavox Academy video. Spam it on the Oceano video. I see what you're doing. That's some scheming, and I like it. I like it. Yeah. Anything else you want to mention, man? I know I already asked you, but anything you want to plug, anything you want to promote, where people can find you, all that good stuff?
Yeah. You can find me pretty much everywhere at Adam on Earth. There may be an underscore, there may not be, but if you just type it in the search, it'll pop up. Otherwise, Adam on Earth underscore is Twitch. Adam on Earth underscore is Instagram. Adam on Earth underscore is Twitter. And Adam on Earth without the underscore is YouTube, though. That's all you need from there. We got links to Oceano, but I'm here. I'm a rep, so just the links are there. We often share posts. You'll know. You should already be following my band anyway.
Yeah, it's true. You'll know. You'll find it. And if you think of the answer, you can check the link in the description, because I always link the video. We're always talking. I always link the video, so you can go look in the description of this YouTube video. It'll take you to MASSproduced. Cool, awesome. Well, man, thank you so much for making some time to hang out and talk vocals and just chit chat. It was a blast, especially because Oceano was one of the early bands of like the heavier persuasion that got me hooked in. So it was really cool to talk to you. And
what's part about that? The part you're saying, the part that we were a band of fat guys, or a band of heavy dudes that played heavy music, or just a heavy band? Which one of the three?
All right, guys. Well, that's the end of the video. We gotta go. All right, see you. Nah, heavy music, man. I'm trying
because all of those were actually true though at that time, so it's okay. We knew it. We were all big boys.
I'm trying to be the heaviest guy in metal right now. That's my goal, right?
That would be a really cool fucking record to have.
That's the one that I always get. Nobody makes fun of my mouth shapes, but they're like, lose weight. This guy needs to lose weight. Lose some weight. That's the one that
big guys always do better vocals though. That's like a thing.
We try our best, man. We try our best.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up there. We're just over an hour, so that's cool. But thank you so much. Thank you all for watching. And as always, many thanks. Much love. I'm out.